listening to Let's Talk About Ethics with me, Evie Wenting. And today I am joined by Katrina Garcia. She is seasoned healthcare professional with more than 15 years of experience in healthcare administration, compliance, risk management, and credentialing. She currently serves as the Director of Compliance for Advent Health Central Florida Division, where she oversees compliance, privacy investigations, and leads division wide compliance initiatives and training. Welcome, Katrina. Let's dive in. Welcome, and I'm really excited to have a conversation with you today.
Yes, thank you. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you for inviting me. And I have been following your content on LinkedIn for maybe a couple of years now. So I'm thrilled to be part of that journey with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, I will start easy with the first question. So, what drew you to compliance?
I feel like everyone has the same answer when they say compliance. I kind of fell into it, but genuinely, I did fall into compliance. I was early in my career, I was still learning about healthcare laws, regulations, the do's and the don'ts. I started out in a healthcare mental health facility where, long story short, I was working in credentialing. And I had a provider come up to me and say, "Hey, Katrina, can you help me open my own clinic? I want to refer the patients here to my new clinic." So my instinct was just like, alert, alert, alert. I don't think this is good. I did give him the benefit of the doubt. It was a new provider. Actually, he just recently moved to the States. So this was his first stateside organization. And he had a good intent, as in wanting to help the patients, especially coming from a substance abuse addiction. You want to help those patients as soon as possible. So I did go to the compliance leader at the time and I said, "Hey, this is what happened. And this is what my suggestion is, as in just train and educate."
Mhm.
So she was thrilled because I kind of threw myself into the mix, as in, "Hey, this is actually new to me. Can I take part of it?" So little by little, I was helping her with her compliance trainings, education, and then risk management. When certain things came up, I would help her with those investigations. So I liked it. I generally liked the documentation and the laws and regulations. So that started my career.
So it sounds like someone's misstep of sorts, whether intentional or not, was the defining moment how you fell into compliance.
Absolutely. And I'm glad he came up to me. He felt comfortable.
Yes, great. Thank you. Yeah, that's always great when you start having those relationships. And I think a lot of compliance is about building relationships with people across the organization. And then you get to find out more than you normally don't because, you have those relationships. I was just on another call earlier today where we talked about it. It's like talking to people, not at people, is really part of the compliance function, which is really important. So I'm happy you had
Absolutely.
that experience. And I guess we will start because I feel like about the next question and something that we will probably spend most time talking about is AI. And what do you see in your everyday work as far as AI questions, concerns, training, lack thereof? What is it like if I say AI to you, what do you see?
I would say, and I might be controversial of saying this, I feel like especially on LinkedIn and even some in-person trainings I've been part of, where I feel like we're still having the same AI conversation from 2 years ago. As in, is AI going to take our jobs? Do we need AI? It's going to make people dumb, in other words. And I would encourage people to take the conversation of AI to the next level, as in AI is here, we're embedding it into our systems. Now let's accept it and really just move on and learning more about AI rather than just your OpenAI, your Claude and Copilot, and understand the difference between like machine learning, or what's the difference between machine learning into your chatbots. And now let's get to the next point of trying to be that bridge between AI innovation and then creating that framework
Mhm.
of ethical AI, of privacy, of security, and just ethical decisions So I would say that I'm trying to encourage that dialogue, especially in my current organization. And then anytime I do see it on LinkedIn, there's just, let's get to the next conversation. It's here. Now it's our responsibility as compliance professionals to get to know and understand the limitations and the capabilities. And then we'll be able to actually mature our compliance program.
I feel like that too, but then I also feel like the leadership teams, the management teams, they are so focused on accepting AI. It's almost like putting the cart in front of the horse, where a governance structure of what that should look like has not really been put in place. So, in order to have the appropriate innovation, because there are certain laws that will catch up one day or another, Europe seems to be doing a better job when it comes to laws around AI. We don't yet, and everyone is about innovation, which I like. But then I also feel like we don't spend enough time about the ethical implications of the data. Like for me, and I talk to many people about it, is people take what AI puts out as the final kind of product without critical thinking. And I think we have to train our people to continuously, and it changes every day. And one thing, it's with AI, when you feel like you've addressed this but things change, you have to address it again because the innovation happens so quickly. So what do you say to that? Like in some of the organizations that you've seen, how are they with the governance? Or do you think like they really need to start focusing on that, not worried about the I'm not going to have my job, but really, if we want to do it right, there is
Yeah.
going to be need for human in the loop, and everybody needs to understand what that looks like.
I do feel like there's no absolute evidence to my theory right now, but I do feel like maybe in the next year or two that the OIG compliance program recommendation is going to be updated to include AI. So that's why actually I'm taking it upon myself to learn more about AI rather than your co-pilot ChatGPT create graphs. No, I'm actually trying to get in the nitty-gritty, as in what type of AI is in a revenue cycle? Is it using this bias, as in, is it detecting from the training data to use certain codes because that what spits out higher reimbursement?
Mhm.
Or from our diagnosis machines, is it biased from skin color? Patient demographics so far. So my theory is that the compliance program is going to update to reflect AI effectiveness.
Mhm.
So I would say that would definitely be one of my recommendations to update your policies, as in shadow AI, as in the team members. We all know you're going to use ChatGPT or Claude on your phone, but we really recommend do not use it. So try to implement Copilot or any other type of AI that's ethical and approved HIPAA compliant
Mhm.
as soon as possible on your systems, and just start training team members the consequences of using AI that's not approved from your organization.
Right. Great. And what do you think about the structure of the oversight of AI within an organization? Should it look like? Who holds the responsibility of that? Is it compliance? Is it IT? Is it finance? Is it HR? Is it all together? What do you think?
I feel like right now, the people who are really excited for AI is your tech folks.
Okay.
And I feel, and this is just some of the exposure that I've seen. I don't want to say all, all of them are made the same, but I think with tech folks, they look at AI as an efficiency tool
Mhm.
versus the human aspect that can really affect a person. So, for example, Europe is doing a great job. They're seeing the human effect of this AI, and I would love for us to get into that mindset. So, for example, someone might not get a job because of the AI system is just throwing their resume, or again your revenue cycle, your diagnosis cycle. I mean, everything that's using AI, from the valet at your hospital, they're looking at a specific patient, and then they're actually pulling certain patients at the end of the line to get a wheelchair because of the training data.
Right.
So, going back to your question, I would say to either add to your hopefully quarterly compliance meeting with leadership and have this discussion and have this committee, either it's ad hoc or so forth, with multiple people from different departments to see all aspects of AI.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what we have to do to have a structure, but also look at the ethical point of view of AI, what you just touched, currently trying to stay informed about what that looks like. The Organization for Humanity. I am taking a course that has to do with employment automated AI tools for anywhere from job candidacy throughout the entire employment. And some of the used cases that we talk about in that training are very interesting and maybe something that not necessarily person in the technical aspect because they're looking at innovation would want to take a look at. So for example, one of the examples that was given to us in that training was there was a job candidate who already had in-person or virtual interviews for this position. She was emailed through this virtual AI assistant a note that she had to respond to. But because she was traveling away, because things weren't immediate yet at that point, we travel, we have plans. She was traveling, she didn't respond like immediately. And the system marked her, basically took
Oh,
her off the recommendation. And what did they say? They basically blacked mark her. She was never ever able to apply to another position, even though she had two or three successful interviews.
oh my
So
goodness.
if you think about that, right? Oh, it's efficiency. We're getting rid of people who are not responding quickly, but it's black and white. There is no gray. In compliance, we know there is a lots of gray. There is not black and white. And I don't know that we can sufficiently train AI in the gray because that takes the human thought. So I think what we need to do and organizations really need to do is really spend time on defining what is and what it isn't, and then understanding how to review the data that comes, and then
Great.
have humans trained on that information so then they can pick it up and say, well, no, this was flagged incorrectly, and maybe train the system better. But we're not there yet that it understands everything how it's supposed to be, right?
And that's where something I would love to see more on, excuse me, LinkedIn is okay, we're having the conversations of AI and the negative output and the positive output. I would love now in 2026 start talking about the case studies.
Yes.
As in, hey, we actually noticed with our revenue cycle, we noticed with HR that there was an uptick in rejected profiles rather than this time last year, it was this amount. Who's monitoring this?
Honestly, I don't think anybody's checking. And I will give you an example that's not AI related, but it's related to the concept of actually checking after the fact. I was always the compliance person in-house responsible to make sure that all employees get trained, right? And there was always 20%, it's always the bell curve. 20% were not trained. And we got them trained. We got to like 98, 99, 100% everyone trained. The thing we didn't do, what we should have done, was figure it out why they weren't trained, right? And
Hmm.
I think everyone in compliance, or most people in compliance, are so busy. The budgets are small. You have way too much responsibilities on your desk, looking at all these different KPIs and reports that you're trying to catch up with, that you don't feel or you don't have the bandwidth to think about what does that look like? What is the no? Like, can we just stop and take a look at what you just said, like the rejection, and compare this year when we did it manually versus, or last year when we did it manually versus this year when it was done via AI. And yes, there's many more resumes that gets processed, but there should be some kind of a curve that makes sense. And does it make sense? And are we asking those questions? Yeah. I think this conversation is really brilliant for many, not only who are in compliance and HR, but finance. I'm sure there's plenty of use cases in finance, right? I mean, I would always think AI would be great tool to use for due diligence. But again, we need to understand what the criterias are and how to interpret all of the data when it comes in.
No, absolutely. Learning that limitations, the capabilities, and that's why I would like to have compliance early on in those vendor discussions. As in, again, and this is probably one myth of compliance I would like to break. We're not the know people. We're trying to know, KNOW. And there's just going to be certain questions that we would ask from regulations, governance, ethics perspective rather than the techie, which we all love them. They're probably just thinking about the speed and the security, where we're just thinking about the human aspect and obviously protecting patients, our clients, organization.
And they say that's why we all need to be in the same room so that we can answer the questions at the time. I'll tell you something too that was little scary to me just to talking about due diligence, right? I was recently in New York City at a conference, and one of the presenters was someone who invests in AI from Silicon Valley. And he provided a beautiful presentation, and it almost felt like the show Oprah when she was giving away cars, like you get an
Yeah.
AI, and you get an AI for home, and
Oh
AI
my
to do your
goodness.
laundry, and AI for this. And like he was painting this picture of AI everywhere and how wonderful the world is. So I was like, okay, I get this. So I am in compliance, I wanted to ask the obvious question. So I walked over when he was done and I said, I'd like to speak with you. And he's like, okay, when we're done, when we have a break. And I said, okay. So I waited my turn. I go to him and I'm like, so well, you sound like you're investing in a lot of different companies and AIs and innovations and all these great things. That's great. Innovation is wonderful. When you are about to invest in a company, what kind of a due diligence do you do on those companies? And I just saw your facial expression. The answer should scare you and it should scare anyone. He said basically they don't.
Oh
So
my
when they
goodness.
have little guys doing great innovative things, chances are there was zero due diligence done at the investment level. And then his answer was kind of like, well, the big companies are doing it. Are they? Not,
Yeah,
honestly, and we had this conversation before. I don't think they are from ethics point of view because all of the variety of the different certifications and assurance programs that are out there, like the NIST and ISOs, they don't have ethics in their line of questioning.
absolutely.
It is security, it is data privacy, it is HIPAA, all this, but there is zero about ethics. So part of this, and I'm super happy that we're having this conversation
Me
here,
too. I'm
is
very energetic.
yeah, plug to For Humanity. It's free courses, great resources, and just start paying attention, having your teams participate in some of the conversations and trainings. I've been doing it for the past year. I don't know everything. I am thankful that I am because I feel like I know a little bit more than I did last year. And at least I know the questions to ask. I hope that after this, you will be like, okay, team, we have to at least
That's
spend one.
yeah, that's what I was going to do. Send me the link later on
I
because
will.
I've actually been pushing my team. And I just want to say I am in favor of AI. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I have made some great meals because of AI, organized my closet great because of AI, and just a countless of questions. And from work, creating ideas for like graphs and type of reports.
Yeah.
We just have to have that due diligence in the beginning and then that education. So I'm a big component where I'm always trying to talk about it with my team. And I do. I encourage them to use Copilot, especially when sometimes we're typing really fast and we can't get our thoughts together. I'll tell them just throw it into Copilot.
Yeah,
And then,
Grammarly, Copilot, those are
yes,
wonderful tools. And, same for me. I am not against AI, but I want to use AI in a smart way so that
absolutely.
humans are protected, companies are protected, and it's with more knowledge than, we are just using it. Because right now, I think in the world, and I'm going to ask you another question. I'm curious to see what you're going to say. But in this world, people are like, yay, AI, let's just use it. Let's see what it does. And which is great, but you got to learn. But then you are not really checking what you should about the company. So my question that I want to ask is, what does your AI due diligence plan looks like. Are you guys asking? Do you have a vendor due diligence specific to AI? Not just general, but specific to AI.
To my current organization, we absolutely do have an AI steering committee, and they are doing their due diligence. AI is on top of everyone's brains, thankfully. However, I am aware of other organizations that I do speak with, previous colleagues and so forth. AI is not even a conversation.
Mhm. So
And
we
and
need
I
to change that.
and that's it. That's my goal. And honestly, and I don't know if I'm jumping from one conversation to another, is let me ask you a question and we'll talk about it.
Sure.
We always talk about AI, how great it is, but this is where I do think healthcare is going to evolve soon because at one point, do we need to update our consent forms to notify patients that we are using AI for their care?
Yes.
And then how do we translate that to a basic English where they do say try to make it like eighth grade level, and then even into multiple languages to cultures who are maybe not even
Understand.
open to the idea of AI. So I do think if we were to put that in those terms, and people are so pro AI,
Mhm.
how would the public perceive that once they see it in their like paperwork? So I don't know. Those are just some thoughts that I've been having, as in I do think compliance is going to evolve. So we really just need to like step it up.
Right. So I mean, it's very
That's difficult,
interesting
isn't
and
it?
in-depth question. So I will model it a little by the things that I know. So while taking this automated AI tools for employment course, I understand there are good case studies and laws coming out of Europe. They have it sort of figure it out way more than in the United States, except for I believe two states that are California and I think was it Virginia? Basically, there is something called like this explainability plus that you really have to explain what you're doing and how you're doing and be very specific. And it
Yeah.
has to be in general language to understand. I suppose I would need to know more also when you talk about how is it being used for treating, for care of patients. Is it summarizing charts, which I could see that being helpful, or is it providing the actual care and then being billed by it the same rates as doctor? I think it's like financial question, it's a
Yeah.
privacy question, it's a HIPAA question. Now, how are you controlling any of the HIPAA laws? Now you're dealing with a third party vendor. Are you understanding what their securities are? Who has access to the system? Where
Yeah.
does the information go? Is it just part of your network or is it going outside? Because I know there's certain AI tools that you can build that are, and I'm not a technical person, but I know there's something you can build with your frameworks around it that it doesn't go anywhere else while the
Agreed.
contracts last. But what happens when the company gets bought out by another company? And this was not AI related, but I'll give this as an example, the 23andMe, all the people who
Oh,
had given their DNA information to this company and they had certain kind of privacy expectation with that company, then it was bought out by another company. And you know what happens when you're bought out by somebody else or when you're merged with somebody else, things change.
yeah, absolutely.
So is
Well,
that the same scary thought for AI?
and then going back to the AI with the vendors, I do think we need to update our BAAs.
Mhm.
It has to update and reflect of like continuous access to PHI. What are they doing? Excuse me. And I mean PHI, I don't want to just specifically talk about healthcare, but to other industries. So I
Mhm.
do think, and that's why I said for 2026, I would love to move the needle in conversation, as in AI is here. Let's
Yep.
accept it. But now let's just break it down.
Mhm.
Let's break it down on areas that we can maybe tackle low-hanging fruit, maybe that BAA.
Yes.
That's low-hanging fruit. And then maybe like the long term, we'll figure out consent forms and clinical care monitoring. But I do think that this is the future and let's start educating and then moving the needle.
Yep, I 100% agree. So thank you so much for today's
Yeah.
conversation on AI. I really appreciate it. I hope it helps people start having the questions about what they're doing within their organizations and how you can drive the conversation of no, not stop AI, but how can we use it responsibly, and maybe investing time in education with organizations like For Humanity, Substack articles. There's so many articles that are written about specific use cases for people. So if people have the time and invest in knowledge when it comes to AI, there are a lot of great resources that talk about the smart, responsible use of AI. So hopefully we're helping with that to anyone who's listening to us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed our conversation.